I'm going to introduce you to our first speaker, Connor Romenesko. Connor currently works in the Norman Miller Center for Peace, Justice, and Public Understanding. He studied abroad in South Africa and worked in rural Belize. It says he will graduate in a couple of weeks with majors in political science and international studies and minor in peace and justice. Now, that was seriously under risk because Connor is in my course in Communio, Humanities 337, and he took a very high risk in his paper on St. Norbert to say that St. Norbert was prideful, all right? Prideful. Everyone else was claiming him as a saint, and Connor said that he was prideful. Actually, I think I was really moved by the fact that he would have such guts to do that. But he has redeemed himself because he is going to join the Jesuit Volunteer Corps. Jesuits know nothing about Communio. And so Connor is going there to teach them about that, right? He could have gone to the Norbertine Service House, but they're seeped in Communio. And so he is really taking his life in his hands and going to work with the Jesuits. He has a love for service and for travel, and when asked for an item on his bucket list, he said he wants to run a marathon. Welcome, Connor.
I had just walked into the Young Offenders Unit at the Bordelais prison in St. Lucia. I took a deep breath and took in all the noise and chaos around me, and then heard a familiar voice. Connor, are we playing golf again this year? This January, I sat on the porch at the Archbishop's Pastoral Center in St. Lucia, my favorite place to drink my morning coffee and just take time to think. I reflected on how lucky I have been the past 4 years at St. Norbert to have seen some amazing places. I've seen beauty in our own backyard, working for environmental justice in Wisconsin. I've worked on the coast of Belize, studied in South Africa, and even hitchhiked through Malawi. But one place has had a way of calling me back, St. Lucia. I've traveled to St. Lucia each year for the past 3 years with the Good News Project out of Wausau, Wisconsin. Now, through these travels, I've been able to work in schools, nursing homes, and even had a hand in building 7 houses and a residence facility. I'm a big proponent of finding new places and having new experiences, but something about St. Lucia and the Good News Project kept drawing me back. At first, it was really hard for me to pinpoint what this was. I had a friend who once told me that if you drink too much of the water in one place, you'll never stop coming back. But I have to think there's more to St. Lucia than just good hydration. I had an event a few weeks ago. I had a chance to talk about St. Lucia and why I kept going back. The person I was talking to asked, well, have you found out if you made an impact there? And the story that came to mind to me was the story of Shem. Shem is a 19-year-old boy housed in the Young Offenders Unit at the Bordelais prison, the only prison on the island. This unit is for young men ages 17 to 21 who are either awaiting trial or have been convicted of an offense. I've traveled there each year. I've gone to St. Lucia to play cards, dominoes, and different games just to get to know the guys. Each year, we walk in with boxes full of cribbage boards, dominoes, and cards, ready for whatever happens next. Now, the first year I was there, it's a little bit out of my element. Shem was sitting off to the side, and I didn't feel entirely comfortable to approach him. I had never been to a prison before, I was in a new place, and I was just a wee sophomore. But the next year, I had my confidence. I went up to him and invited him to our table to play cards. Now, one of my ways I really like to get to know people is having them teach me card games. I don't know a lot of games, so I think it's a good way to kind of hear people's story and make them comfortable. So I asked him if he knew any games, and he knew a game, Pitapak. To this day, I have no earthly idea how that game works. All I know is he can change the rules whenever he wants, and I will always lose. After playing for a while, it was clear he was becoming more comfortable and really enjoying our time together. While I taught him my favorite game, golf, we talked about our favorite soccer teams, our families, where we're from, and time flew by. It was time to head back, and you never really want to say, I'll see you next year in that kind of setting, but I really did hope I would see him again. Sure enough, this year, when I went back, I took it all in the prison, and heard that familiar voice, Connor, Connor, are we playing golf? It was Shem. He remembered who we were, the games we had taught them, and all of our interactions from the year before. The entire time I was there that year, that shy young man from 2 years before sat next to me with a smile on his face, peppering me with questions. Connor, how is Mary Sewell? Have you been to Grosse Ile yet? Connor, Connor, how are your brother and sister? That is why service in St. Lucia are so meaningful to me. The deep human connections. These connections have the potential to take love into action. This service and these relationships are what makes service meaningful, and the fact that you can fall in love with a place no matter where you are.